Hello, my name is Michael Garrick, and this is PoppinCulture. My guest today is a salesman and comedian, David Bakker. Thank you so much for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Michael. Excited.
Oh, yeah, me too, brother. Whenever I have a comedian on, I like to ask, a lot of people like to focus on bombing, but I'm more focused on succeeding. So when was the first time you killed, and how did it feel?
Well, I kind of like to talk about the worst time I bombed.
Okay.
Can
Yes,
I say
all you.
Well, the only reason I say that is I recently watched one of my early sets where I thought I did well, and it's interesting how your perspective changes because there's a lot I would have done differently now. But I don't know. I think it's fun to talk about when you just ate crap. So it was about a month in. I was in Atlanta.
Okay.
It was an all-black comedy club south of the airport. Do you know where Gucci Mane grew up?
Yes.
Like it was kind of a hood area.
Yes.
So I met one of the comics from Spartanburg. He was going down there, and I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And it was this open mic competition. And I think I did about 2 minutes. And I did this joke about Instagram girls. And when the act out, I bend over to like kind of illustrate how they pose in those pictures. And I got a wedgie. And I was wearing gym shorts, and I picked out the wedgie without thinking about it. And everybody noticed it. And then I heard the noises turn from like laughs to like groans. And then the boos started coming. And then, they booed me off stage. And then the host came up. And he roasted me pretty hard. He said, "Did this dude?" He said, first of all, I didn't realize how white this guy was. He said, "Did he just pick his butt on stage?" And then he, the whole room basically laughed for 2 minutes after that, and But they were. I mean, it was fine. It was really humbling. It was funny. I mean, it was a good experience overall. But. Yeah, I won't forget it.
Nice. Well, man, you gotta take the wins with the losses.
Yeah.
Since you brought up yours, I can bring up mine to make you feel better.
Yeah, please do.
Okay. My worst bombing experience was I was opening for this big name comedian. It was like my first time ever opening for a big name comedian, and I had never did a full like an all black crowd before. And it just like the first 3 shows I cruised through. It was like a C- job, C+, and then came to the last show. Last show, most people, like it was like close to, I want to say 70 people there.
Yeah.
After COVID, 70 people there is like a great crowd.
Yeah, that's huge.
Nothing hit. Didn't get booed. Didn't get talked over. Nothing.
Yeah.
It was more just a crowd of like, is this what this guy finds funny?
Yeah.
And then, like, after the show, I tell everybody, drive safe, have a great night. As I turn around, I hear a guy say, "Thank you for sucking." And I already had my back turned, so I was like, all right, I ain't got to turn around. I can act like I didn't hear it. But in my heart, I was like, he wasn't wrong. Like,
yeah.
I had to try to sell merch after that.
Yeah. You want to buy my merch?
Yeah.
Isn't that almost worse when it's like nothing, like just dead silence and just... like
at least with booing, I know like you're interacting. Like
there was some,
when you're just looking, it's just like, this is
it's just soul sucking, man.
This is the way his mind works.
Yeah, just like everything I thought about what's funny was wrong.
The nicest thing about it was the headliner was K-Dub, and K-Dub was like, keep doing what you're doing. Like, you're funny. You just got to learn how to like be funny in these rooms.
Yeah.
So
it's funny, yeah. K-Dub, I think we mentioned that he works as a host at that mic that I was talking about in that comedy club. It's Uptown Comedy Corner, south of the airport.
Well, he was nice to me. He didn't know.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't the host when that happened, but I'd gone a couple of times, and I know he's there. But I know his style of comedy is very, intense and it's different than my style of comedy. But I like going to rooms where I'm uncomfortable though too. Like everyone's like it's great to go to rooms where they know you, but it's fun to go to places where it's more of a different experience. But
I like our level of comedy just because, you don't know I'm funny? You don't think I'm funny? Let me surprise you.
Yeah.
Instead of like when you get to a certain level and people like, anywhere Chris Rock goes, they already know, okay, he's funny. Or they're going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
But for like us at the bottom, it's just like, All right,
Yeah.
I don't know who this guy is. Let's see if he's funny.
Yeah, you kind of have to break the ice somehow and get him to crack and then like you and then be funny.
Yeah. It's like the jack out of the box each time. Just like we're rolling them up, and it's like, all right, here I am.
Yep.
But yeah, the topic you chose was stand up and how it's influenced pop culture. What are your top 5 comedians?
Oh gosh, Norm Macdonald. I think he's my number 1.
He's hilarious.
Yeah. I like Norm because there's way more to Norm than meets the eye.
Yeah.
I think he's a very smart person, but he never tries to come across that way to an audience. He never tries to get messagey or preachy. He's very silly and I don't know. He's just really likable. You know, he has like a humble way. He plays the dumb guy. And he always goes against the grain. I think part of comedy is like you want to surprise people, and he does that to a fault. Like, I think most people know Norm from the SNL days of the '90s when he was a Weekend Update host, and he did really edgy stuff.
Could not get away with those jokes now.
Yeah,
could not get away with any of those jokes right now.
Yeah, they would be the OJ stuff, the stuff about. I don't know. He had stuff that would probably be considered misogynistic, and but he didn't care. I mean, he didn't want to pander. He wanted to go with what was funny. He wanted to keep the jokes simple, concise. He's very much a purist when it comes to stand up, and I actually admire. Like, he's not that well known because he never hit it big with movie. He had some movies and stuff, but he never had his own show that had a lasting runtime. He had like 1 season on a show, but he was maybe too much of a lightning rod to like get mainstream famous, and he just loves stand up for stand up, and that's good enough for him to just be, you know, a touring comic. And
what was the movie he did with Dave Chappelle? I like that movie. Where they kidnapped the dog.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I'm forgetting the name of that one.
But I did like that movie.
Dirty Work is another movie he did. I don't know if that's the one with Chappelle. I think there's another one. Screwed?
Yeah, Screwed. That's it.
Yeah, I don't even know if I've seen that one. I'm just obsessed with his stand-up. And
definitely check it out, though.
Yeah, okay. And he's a fan of, you know, literature, and he's the human condition. He does a lot about death. He does a lot about just really crazy topics that, and it's really interesting as well as funny. Louis C.K. I like. Dave Chappelle. Who else? Jerry Seinfeld. And I'm trying to think of round out of number 5. I'll say David Spade. I like David Spade a lot.
I have never heard somebody put David Spade in their top 5.
Maybe it's just because I couldn't think of anybody else at the moment.
No. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all.
Well, have you seen David Spade stand up?
I have.
I mean,
it's not bad.
It may not be. Because to me, I know him as more than just a stand-up. I mean, I know him from Tommy Boy, you know, Black Sheep. I mean, I like that crew, you know, like Adam Sandler, Chris Farley, David Spade, Chris Rock. Like,
I hope my team is that tight. Like, for real. Like, I want.
It was a simpler time, man. In the 90s, there wasn't all this wokeness, this everybody being like, they just had fun, and they didn't get overly political one way or the other. They were very down the middle and just. I
hope my team's that tight. I would hate for my friends to give me a movie like The Animal, but you know.
The Animal.
You know, that movie was supposed to. I guess it was meant for Adam Sandler, and Adam Sandler was like, I don't have time, so he just gave it to Rob.
Oh, yeah.
And Rob was like, I'll just do this bad movie. That's fine.
Dude, Rob Schneider. Have you seen Adam Sandler's latest stand-up special, by the way? 100% Fresh? Mm-hmm. Dude, that was awesome. Yeah. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I cried at the end of that. When he did the tribute to Chris Farley. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was a big softie.
I like the remix to "I Want to Grow Old with You." Like, thank you for growing old with me. That was smart.
Did that strike a chord with you, Mr.
Yeah, because I grew up
engaged man.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
buddy.
Congrats. That's awesome.
Buddy. Thanks so much. I make horrible decisions.
Yeah.
But
dude, it's rare when a comic can get sappy and actually keep the audience with. I mean, you know, it was an endearing tribute, both the Chris Farley and the one to his wife, and I was like, man, I experienced every emotion through this 60 minutes.
For me, it was more like yeah, of course to his wife, but then it was the ending when he was like to the crowd, and it's like, yeah, I grew up with Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
Like that's right. Like this
Yeah.
whole time, not Saturday Night Live, of course, I was too young for that, but like literally from Big Daddy on, like
Yeah.
I grew up watching his movies, the good
Yeah.
ones and the ones we don't talk about.
Yeah, and it felt sincere, like a sincere thank you to the fans, like the people that watched made him successful,
Yeah.
and I very likable guy. Adam Sandler's one too that I went through a period where I thought his movie sucked. I was like, this guy's terrible. This is getting embarrassing. There was, but then I kind of understood that he kept his people close. You know, he took care of them. He gave them roles, guys like Rob Schneider, people that weren't necessarily going to get booked anywhere else in Hollywood. And he had the money to bankroll all this stuff. And the movies did well at the box office. So now, I mean, he's one of the wealthiest comics out there.
I don't feel like he has any yes man either. Like I feel like his bad movies are just bad, and like they know, like everybody there knows.
They're
like,
self-aware bad movies. They're not trying to be all profound or anything.
It's just a phone call, like you can't believe what Netflix is about to do. Like,
Yeah, and that's kind of why I like Norm, because he's, again, like he likes comedy for being silly. It's just jokes. It's not like we're not trying to, you know, solve all the world's problems on stage. We're trying to make people laugh. That's it. So it's kind of a humble way to approach it. So I really like Adam Sandler for that reason.
When you go into the influence that stand-ups had on pop culture, do you feel like a lot of philosophy is introduced to pop culture through stand-up?
I feel like stand-up comments on the philosophy that's flowing through the culture.
Okay.
So, because to me, like any idea I have is usually reactive to something I observe, and it's trying to like get at it in a way that's interesting and maybe true in a deeper sense, like and say it in a way that the average person would feel uncomfortable saying.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I don't know if it introduced. I mean, there's certain stand-up comics that like changed things. Like apparently, I don't know Richard Pryor's stuff that well, but apparently Richard Pryor really changed the game and how personal he got it. So I feel like he kind of shifted how open you could be on stage. Pryor said he became really vulnerable and told a lot of personal stories, and that may have influenced kind of the stand-up culture. And then you get people kind of mimicking that.
Do you feel like that's always going to be a thing? Because you've been doing stand up for a while now. You can see new people now that from when you were new. You can see new people now, and like you can see the people like when they first started, it's like, oh, that sounds like Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Word for word. Or the people that bang the mic against the leg. I'm like, okay, that's some Dave Chappelle
Yeah.
stuff. Like,
Yeah.
like, you just see like, you know, before you get your own voice, it does seem like you. I wouldn't say hacky, but like,
Yeah.
you just do what you think is funny, and what
Yeah.
you think is funny is what you've seen on TV.
Yeah. It's really hard not to copy people. Number one, because it's so hard. Like, you're desperate for laughs. Like, doing anything you can that'll like get a laugh. Like, maybe this will work, and maybe this, and like, you know, maybe things slipped into your subconscious, like or subconscious, like a mannerism or you know, a phrasing of a word. I try to avoid that if I can now, but yeah. To me, it's like never done. Like you never really feel like you're there. In fact, you have to keep like humbling yourself to make sure you're not coming across fake.
Yeah.
Like you want to be yourself, and that's so hard to do when you're trying to get a reaction. Mm-hmm. So you kind of just have to let go somewhat, and you have to bomb a lot,
Yes.
which sucks because then you're humbling yourself.
Have you ever had a show where like, and I work on it now, but like you ever had a show where you're like, yeah, this is gonna happen. I'm about to bomb.
Like going into the show?
Yeah, like you get there and you just know, and it's never like, I mean like all day, but like right before, maybe like 30 minutes where you're like, yeah, something's off. Tonight's not it.
I've felt like that before, but usually when I feel like that, the show ends up going okay. It's when I feel like, okay, I got this. That's when it bombs, because then I'm thinking it's going to go a certain way, and then something happens, and then it's like, oh wait, it's not going right, and then it's like, oh wait, no, now I've just been thinking about that for the last couple, and then it just, you know, so yeah, and I think going to different cities has kind of helped where I've seen that happen where I feel confident because it worked in Greenville maybe a couple of times, but then I go to Columbia. This happened last week. I had some polished material or I thought was polished. I mean, hell, but and the audience didn't know me. I didn't do enough to break down those barriers at the beginning of the set. It was too edgy for them, and it was just crickets. It was like kind of what you described. And but again, before that, I kind of felt confident. So
that's a tough room too.
Yeah.
It was a tough room.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah,
I heard about it.
I went back this past Tuesday.
How did it go?
Oh, much better.
Nice.
Much better. But it went better because I had a totally different self-deprecating approach and just kind of
nice.
Tried to not care at all, and you know it went fine.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a tough room depending on the subject matter. It's definitely not a room where you can go in there and say whatever you want.
Yeah, and there's some of that. I mean, to me that's not like I don't like woke culture all the time because I feel like it limits what stand up can do. But like that to me was like my bad and. Not knowing the room, because that's kind of the responsibility of the comedian too. Like if you're gonna do like a show at a church, you should know you're not gonna do these
I wish one of the
jokes.
other comedians there would have pulled you to the side, like, hey, you know, so and so probably wouldn't. You know, these topics aren't really. But,
Yeah. I mean, those same jokes might have been okay if they had been done later in a set in a different way, but it was edgy jokes back to back. So.
Oh yeah, that's not it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about clean versus dirty comedy?
Yeah. I don't have a strong opinion. I mean, there's swear words sometimes that I'll use in a set. I don't like to be filthy. There's some comics that are there's certain topics, like especially when it comes to sexual things. I don't think being explicit and saying explicit sexual words on stage is funny just to say them. I mean, if it's going a direction and it serves a purpose, maybe. So like dirty sexual stuff, I stay away from. I might make like innuendo type allusions to stuff, and I don't like to swear too much, but I also don't really think that like, you know, Jerry Seinfeld level clean to me is almost so polished that you don't see a lot of vulnerability and realness to it. So I think like on the spectrum of, you know, filthy versus squeaky clean, I'd probably be somewhere, you know, in the middle to slightly cleaner. But that's just kind of how I am in real life. Like if I'm talking to my friend about something and I'm venting about something, I'll cuss sometimes. And I feel like that needs to be like how my set has to be if it's going to work. Like they have to feel like I'm actually, you know, being how I would normally be in real life. So yeah, not squeaky clean, but clean enough to where, you know, I'm not embarrassing my family or doing something so vulgar that it's like.
The only advice I can tell you or anybody watching is I counted my set. My set had 23 cuss words in it. I cut it down to 4. I've been booked ever since.
Okay.
And even now when I write jokes, don't get me wrong, I always want to use my voice. Like I know I don't want to be a clean comedian, but I would rather be like bookable.
Sure.
Where it's like, hey, I want you to be on the show. I want you to feature for me. I want you to host for me.
Yeah.
And it's not like, I would, man, but like, you know.
Yeah.
The way you talk sometimes.
I hear you.
So,
what, do you have any F-bombs anywhere in your set?
No, because it's just way easier to use the word mess.
Mess, okay.
Yeah.
I have one that I don't know if I'm gonna keep. That's the one.
Like I say, if it's the punchline, because I have like every curse word is part of a punchline.
Yeah.
And when I don't use it for like a clean show, it's like it still hits, but it's not.
It's a little softer. It doesn't hit real
way
like
softer,
crisp.
soft, like soft penis soft. Like no blood going. There's no blood going in those jokes at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to say clean if I like to start with the emotion of and not think about whether it's clean or dirty, and then maybe edit it later. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with those.
No, just finding your voice, man. That was took me forever. Just finding my voice. Just like that was, and I tell anybody that once you find your voice, that's pretty much like over half the battle.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So. I don't think I asked you before, but how did you get into comedy?
I was really weird as a kid, because I memorized like movies and shows and stuff, any funny movie or show. Seinfeld was my favorite show as a kid, even back to like elementary school, 5th grade, 6th grade, which is weird. I had a buddy who like loved Seinfeld, and obviously a lot of that's adult humor, so I didn't understand a lot of the humor, but it was like comforting to me to like rewatch those episodes. And they didn't even release the DVDs back then, so we would VHS record the Seinfeld episodes when they were on after the evening news, and I had like a bunch of those, and I would just watch them. And I just loved the shows for like what they were. They were just purely enjoyable, and I kind of liked the stories more than Jerry's stand-up in the shows. And then I did some video editing and things in high school that were kind of creative, and I really liked that, but I didn't know what to do with it at all. And then I had a notebook that I started writing funny ideas in when I was in college, just toying around with the idea. But I was always kind of too embarrassed to think that I would ever try to do it publicly. I just kind of had a few little things, literally a couple of pages, nothing really that significant. And then it wasn't until the pandemic hit, and I think a lot of people started doing random hobbies, and everybody started thinking, they could do something during the pandemic. And I did a couple of YouTube videos that for my job, and that was the first time I ever tried to make something funny in like a minute clip. And one of them people really liked, and I had so much fun making it that I was like, oh my gosh, well, I have all this downtime, I'm gonna write a couple of funny things. And it wasn't until a couple months after that in July when Comedy Zone opened back up here in Greenville, and I had a friend invite me to an open mic. And when she sent me the text, I saw it and I was like, a part of me was like, I don't want to do this. I'm horrified. Like, I didn't want to go. I didn't have any jokes. But the other part of me knew I would hate myself if I didn't. So it was like I was tortured of whether to go or not. So I went up on stage, bombed horribly for like a minute and a half. I think I got like 1 or 2 laughs, and then just got off. I was like, oh my gosh, holy cow, what a rush. And ever since, like, it was just fun to just write creative stuff and try it out. And I've kind of been hooked ever since. So
it does get addicting, especially as your first big laugh.
Yeah. How did you get into stand-up?
I tried it once when I was 19. Like I said, I got a couple laughs, but I just didn't have time for it. I was like a Jehovah's Witness. I didn't have anyone to be like, hey, keep doing it.
I want to hear more Jehovah's Witness material, by the way. I hear a couple of jokes about it. But
it's always, the one thing that I was told was it's cool to hear it from the other side. There's only so many, they come to your door every day. Yeah. Jokes. So.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But I bet there's some interesting perspectives having grown up there.
Yeah.
Not in like a, digging kind of way, but like, I'd be intrigued by that kind of perspective.
It definitely gets people to be quiet, but like, where's this going?
Yeah.
But long story short, my ex-wife did stand. She still does stand up. She's
really?
Yeah, she's funny.
Interesting.
And way ahead of me.
Yeah.
And she was like, she saw me. I was like, hey, I want to try it. So I tried it. Did great. The first 2 shows I did, bombed after that for a little bit. But then I stopped doing it after the divorce, got back into it, and yeah, man. It was really the second time after, like, not when I was 19, but when I did it again, where I was like, oh, yeah, I fell in love with it. I was like, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much how it went.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a weird hobby, career, whatever, because it demands so much of you to, like, keep doing it.
Yeah. Like I said, man, it's not like getting paid for being you.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing. That's what made me really fall in love. Like, if I can do what I hate for so long.
Yeah, you're getting paid?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I know you're
Yeah. When I mean
like
paid,
$5 so far.
Yeah. When I mean paid, it's like $20 and some wings.
No,
I'm
yeah. But that in itself is amazing when you do when you make that, and you're like, wow,
a lot of times,
I just told some dumb thoughts that people laughed at. Great.
Yeah, a lot of times I get paid with exposure.
Yeah.
Yeah, when that promoter comes to you and he's like, hey, all these people know who you are now. Like, really?
Yeah.
That's what just happened. Okay.
Yeah.
I only get 1 follow this whole time I've been here, but they know who I am. Okay.
Yeah, and that's my other favorite part is, like, getting to know the different people in the community, like the other comics, because it's kind of like a weird fraternity where like people like not a lot of just strangers off the street know what it's like, but the people that do know what it's like know how hard it is, know how much it can suck, know how much it can be rewarding when it goes well.
It's really cool that it's supportive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't get me wrong, some are assholes, of course, but when you get the group that's supportive,
Yeah.
the ones that like want you to do better, that's why I usually try to stick around with good people that like, because you'll have the comedians like, who the fuck is this guy? He's not funny.
Yeah.
And be like, yeah, we don't need that here. Like,
Yeah. I don't feel like there's any like shortcuts to like, you know, and I don't really have a destination in mind at all with comedy. It's just something that really makes me feel like balanced out. So yeah, there's no need to get like, you know, mean or jealous or, you know, resentful about anybody.
Yeah, my goal is headlining, so
hell yeah.
I got to get to that 45 minutes. So.
Yeah. How many minutes you got?
Right now, good, 18.
18?
But if you needed me, I could do 25. But
Okay.
When I say good, I mean like clean. I know where every joke is going, 18.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
But if anybody needs me to do 30 for the right amount of money, I will crowd work that.
Yeah.
I would do, what's your name for a good 12 minutes?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Comment on people's shirts. And
yes.
Where you from? Yeah.
Yes. Anybody celebrating birthdays? I will.
Yeah. Is it payday?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do?
It doesn't matter if that birthday or not. Oh, your birthday's next month? All right. Give it up for happy belated. Yeah. Well, man, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. Is there anything you'd like to say to your fans?
Oh, gosh. All 2 of them. I don't know. If you want, you can follow me on Instagram. If you're a girl, slide into my DMs, please.
All right, what's your Instagram handle so I can follow you?
David Bakker 7, Bakker 7, and then on YouTube, David Bakker 16. So if you want to take me out there, that'd be fine.
All right, guys, you make sure you follow him. Like I said, thank you again for coming on.
Thanks, Michael.
Oh, no problem. And you guys have an amazing day.